For 10 years, he was a prisoner in his own body, a conscious mind trapped behind unresponsive eyes. He could hear every whispered word, every careless secret, every final goodbye spoken over his motionless form. The air in the room carried the sterile scent of antiseptic, undercut by the faint, sweet odor of decay that no amount of cleaning could mask. Then, one night, the steady mechanical beep of the heart monitor faltered, stuttering into an erratic, frantic rhythm. A cold, damp sensation crept up his limbs, as if he were sinking into a frozen lake. Yet the sheets against his skin felt sticky with a cold sweat. From the corner of the darkened room, a new sound emerged. Not the hiss of the ventilator, but a soft, wet scratching, like fingers dragging slowly across the wall. And in that moment of paralyzing dread, a single, impossible thought pierced the fog of his captivity. Something else was in the room with him. It had been listening too. Every goodbye you ever said echoed in your mind, but your body refused to respond. Your muscles were locked in place, frozen solid by a force you couldn't comprehend. Even the simple act of blinking was now an impossible feat. Then, the beep and the hissing ceased. A sudden, absolute void where sound had been. This is not a horror film. This is what happened to Anna Clarke, and what she wrote down after she woke up will change how you see the people you love forever. Anna and Mark Clarke were living the quintessential Texas dream. The Austin sun bathed their home in warm, honeyed light as they prepared for their first child. Every detail felt perfect. The smell of fresh paint, the gentle hum of cicadas through the open window. They had no way of knowing this idyllic moment would soon fracture into something unspeakable. He was an engineer, pragmatic by trade. She was a graphic designer, her world one of color and form. Their future was a bright, open road, a new home purchased, their first child, a daughter named Lily, just weeks from arrival. The end came on Highway 71, beneath the downpour that turned asphalt to glass. A semi-truck hydroplaned slid across the median in a silent, weightless drift. Officers called it instantaneous, a blink in their paperwork. For Mark, that moment stretched into an eternity. For Anna, pinned in the wreckage, her body's system shut down to protect her from the catastrophic brain trauma. But her consciousness remained unnervingly active, refusing to follow her body into oblivion. She could still smell the sharp tang of ozone from crushed electronics and the coppery scent of her own blood. Her awareness floated in that dark, confined space, detached yet painfully present. A clinical, sterile hospital room. A woman lies perfectly still in a bed, surrounded by machines. This is Anna, 10 years later. Her hair is neat, her body cared for, but her face is a mask. Anna slipped into a coma. But this wasn't a silent, dark descent. She plunged into what neurologists term a locked-in state. The damage to her brainstem severed every command line to her body. To every doctor, every nurse, to her husband Mark, who visited daily, she was simply gone. A beautiful, breathing statue. Inside, Anna was screaming. A low, persistent drone filled her world, underscored by the muffled sounds of hospital life, distant voices, rolling carts, and the relentless beep of monitors. This was her reality. A silent, immobile prison, where the sterile scent of antiseptic clung to the air like a shroud. Nurse Janet's shoes squeaked rhythmically on the linoleum floor. Mark's newspaper rustled softly as he read to her. The cardiac monitor maintained its relentless, mechanical beat. That electronic pulse became her world's only metronome. She listened as the nurses changed her bedding, their voices a low murmur discussing shift rotations and personal grievances. So I told her, if there's no ring by Christmas, I'm finished. Hand me the lotion. Then, she heard Mark. Dear God, she could hear Mark, the scrape of a chair nearby. Mark's weary, intimate voice, close to her ear. My love, I've brought you that lavender lotion you like. His tone was thick with devotion, yet it carried a strange, hollow weight. The air in the room clung, heavy with the scent of lavender and something older, like dust and forgotten things. The doctor's diagnosis was unchanged, his words a familiar, hollow echo. I didn't care about the prognosis, the sterile certainty of it all. My purpose was a singular, heavy weight in my chest. Nothing else mattered. I was here. I'll always be here. His tears fell on her hand. A cold, wet touch she felt with every fiber of her being. She screamed inside, a silent, desperate plea that echoed in the void. Nothing answered. Only the metallic scent of ozone and the oppressive weight of the quiet. Then, the conversations began to shift. Whispers scratching at the edge of hearing. The air grew heavy with the scent of antiseptic and something faintly metallic. A filtered whisper slithered through the quiet. Such a shame, it said, the voice sticky with false sympathy. A handsome man like him, wasting away. He should move on. Then Laura's voice cut through, harsh and filtered by years of grief. Mark, it's been 5 years. She's not in there anymore. You need to sign the papers. Let her go, for her sake, and for yours. Narrator. Anna endured every excruciating debate about her own existence. The words, vegetable, and burden, echoed in the sterile air, each syllable a weight pressing down on her fragile reality. Then came the night when Mark's ragged whisper sliced through the quiet, confessing a terrifying truth that turned her blood to ice. His confession, I don't know if I can do this anymore, Anna. I'm so alone. Coiled around her heart like a cold, damp serpent. That despair became her new, unyielding cell. And, in its suffocating grip, she began to long for the final, absolute silence. Until the day she heard the lie. The ventilator's rhythmic hiss was the only sound in the room, a mechanical ghost of breath. It was a Tuesday when Mark spoke with the new doctor. His voice a low murmur that carried a strange clinical weight. The air grew dense with the scent of antiseptic and something else. A metallic tang, like old coins. Dr. Evans, filtered voice, cut through the heavy air. Clinical and unnervingly confident. He continued. New studies reveal only minimal brain activity. The words hung in the ozone-tinged air. It's essentially reflexive. A profound, primal dread settled over the room, thick as the damp chill clinging to the walls. There's no person there, Mark. I'm sorry. Mark's voice, defeated and hollow, whispered back. I know. I think I've always known. The admission hung in the air, thick with the scent of damp earth and old regret. Evans's voice dropped to a haunted whisper, heavy with implications left unspoken. The funding review is next month, he said, the words hanging like a sentence in the cold, antiseptic air. Without a change, they'll recommend transferring her. A long pause stretched, thick with the scent of ozone and dread. He finally finished. The truth, a cold wait, to a long-term care facility. It won't be like this. Anna knew exactly what more basic meant. The aides, whispers about Willowbrook had painted a grim picture. Their descriptions were visceral. The cloying, rotten scent that clung to everything. The pervasive, damp chill of neglect that seeped into the very walls. A white-hot panic, primal and absolute, surged through her veins. Every instinct screamed a single, silent command. Not there. It was her mind's final, desperate rebellion against the encroaching dread. A last stand, fought in the silent theater of her own skull. And then, a miracle. Not a dramatic one. A tiny, seismic shift. A neural pathway, dormant for a decade, ignited. On screen, her index finger twitched. Just once. A millimeter. Mark, consumed by his grief, remained oblivious. The stale air in the room grew heavy with the scent of antiseptic and something faintly metallic. Nurse Janet, the one who always chattered about her boyfriend, suddenly went rigid. Her eyes locked on the motionless form, unblinking. A faint, acrid scent of ozone and antiseptic hung in the air as she watched. Then, a subtle twitch. A slight, unnatural shift beneath the sheet. Her professional composure shattered. A sharp, urgent whisper escaped her lips, cutting through the sterile quiet. Janet's voice was a blade of cold precision in the dark. Mark, call the doctor. Now. Hopeful yet tense strings swell as doctors rush through sterile corridors. Scans illuminate with impossible new colors, revealing something unseen. Mark's face is a storm of fragile hope and raw terror. It took 6 more months. The marble eyelids parted with a faint scraping sound. A single toe curled inward against the pedestal, leaving a tiny scratch in the dust. The air grew thick with the scent of cold stone and ancient, dry earth. A breath was drawn in. A slow, deliberate rasp that was not my own. My own lungs froze. My command to hold my breath now a trapped instinct, every muscle locked. A prisoner to the impossible movement before me. It was not imagination, it was awakening. Life, cold and patient, was seeping into the unyielding stone. Finally, the day arrived when a speech therapist placed a special tablet in her frail, atrophied hands. With excruciating slowness, her finger hovered over the screen. The room grew still, thick with anticipation. She tapped a single letter. Then, another word formed in the oppressive stillness. On the screen, letters appeared one by one, slow and deliberate. H-U-R-T. The first word in a decade. Hurt. More letters coalesced into a name. L-I-L. Why? Mark's voice broke from off-screen, thick with a grief that had never healed. She was stillborn, Anna. Anna's apology echoed in the room, a desperate confession that hung in the air. Her fingers danced across the keys, frantic and clumsy, moving with a rhythm of pure panic. The words poured out not as speech, but as an accusation from the grave. Each keystroke carried the weight of something unspeakable, something that shouldn't be spoken. The text appeared on the screen in jagged, rapid slashes. The words formed a chilling indictment. Heard you. Heard everything. Then came the specific, impossible knowledge. Janet's boyfriend.
Laura's divorce. The air grew thick with the ozone scent of violated privacy and a deep primal dread. Dr. Evans stared at the Willowbrook file, the line now a physical weight in his hands. The air in the room grew thick with the scent of old paper and something faintly metallic.
A low, rhythmic scratching began from behind the wall, like fingernails on plaster. He felt the damp chill of the truth seep into his bones, the foundation of his career crumbling to rot. The screen filled with those final words. You said you were alone. I was here the whole time. Then, absolute silence, broken only by the choked, ragged sound of Mark's sob. The air in the room felt thick, carrying the faint metallic scent of old fear. Now, decades later, we see Anna, her movements slow but deliberate, in a sunlit physical therapy gym. Anna Clarke's eyes meet the camera, ancient wells of suffering and hard-earned serenity. Her recovery stands as a medical marvel of our time. She had to reclaim every basic function: swallowing, walking, holding a spoon. Yet the moment her fingers could clutch a pen, she began to write. Not a memoir, a ledger. She wrote down every conversation she could remember. The ink smelled faintly of iron, each stroke a desperate act of preservation. Her cramped script filled the pages, a fragile bulwark against the silence that pressed in. The gentle words of comfort, the harsh whispers of cruelty, the private jokes exchanged between nurses, carrying the scent of antiseptic and stale coffee, and her husband's darkest moments of doubt, felt in the heavy, suffocating silence of the waiting room. She gave it to him. She gave it to the hospital. Anna's voice, now raspy and unfamiliar, cut through the static on the recording. It was clear, yet carried the weight of something broken. They needed to know the silence isn't empty. Mark and Anna still walk together, a fragile peace in the garden. They claim they're working through it, but a profound distance lives between them, thick as ozone before a storm. Their interactions are gentle, yet each touch feels like a ghost of what it once was. How do you come back from that? How do you rebuild a home when the foundation is full of ghosts? How can you meet the gaze of the person whose hand you held, knowing they heard that fleeting, terrible wish for release? Anna's ordeal, born from that silent plea, didn't just haunt her. It forced a global reckoning. Her story compelled hospitals worldwide to rewrite their protocols, to operate under a new, chilling assumption: awareness. Now, every whispered word at the bedside must be measured, for you never know who is listening from the silence. The camera lingered on Anna's open notebook, the page illuminated by a single desk lamp. The entry was stark and personal. Tuesday, 3 p.m., Mark cried. Said he missed my peach cobbler. The ink seemed to swim on the page, the simple words heavy with an unspoken grief. In the quiet of the room, the scratch of the pen felt like a confession. A faint scent of cinnamon and old paper hung in the air, a ghost of the memory she recorded. Yet beneath it, the metallic tang of something colder lingered. This was more than a diary entry. It was an artifact of a haunting, ordinary moment now frozen in time. The mundane had become a monument to loss. I tried to scream the recipe, but my voice was gone. Yet the true horror that haunts me isn't documented in any medical text. It's a single, terrifying question she left hanging in the air. The screen fades to black as Anna's voice, a ghostly whisper, reaches out directly to you. If I was in there, who else is here? Right now. In the room next to you, in the bed down the hall, the air is suddenly thick with the scent of damp earth and old copper. A low, rhythmic scratching begins. It's not coming from outside your door. Listening, remembering. What are you saying to them? Every word you speak lingers, absorbed by the unseen. A metallic scent hangs in the air, cold and electric, as if the walls themselves are holding their breath. Be careful what you say. Someone is always listening. The ventilator's final beep dissolved into absolute quiet. In its absence, the room's other qualities pressed in. The sterile scent of antiseptic was now undercut by a faint, coppery tang. A profound stillness settled, thick and expectant. It was the quiet of a held breath, waiting to be broken.